So now we go into game 4 where eUnited are sitting on the point where if they lose another game, then that's just it for their tournament. They're out. Those guys now have to refocus and win 2 in a row. Where do you want to see that focus there from them on eUnited?
It's all about controlling the early game in the solo lane, and that's how the picks and bans kind of shifted. And with Aquarius getting this Cacolan, we keep talking about it, right? Solo lane, solo lane, solo lane, but that's what it's all been about. Benji just dominated the field in the first game with the Cacolan. Second time around was getting shut down really heavily with the RDO. It created such a fear and panic for them in game number 3 that they elected to ban it very early on, and they were focused too much on taking options away from Mask because they ban away the Rat, they take the Serqet for themselves instead of maybe taking the Cacolan for Benji.
I would have to agree with Tolly here. I think that eUnited need to do a little bit more re-evaluating on their draft because they're kind of falling behind to Luminosity. I think that Luminosity is definitely getting the upper hand when it comes to the drafting phase because both of these teams, I would say, are very equally skilled as far as individual talent and mechanical gameplay is concerned. But when it comes to drafting, Luminosity really seem to have figured out how to shut out Benji and, more importantly, keep eUnited at bay.
And we talked about getting eUnited, focused in on this next game. Someone I think would be a big part of that for them, though, is PolarBearMike. I mean, even when it was someone else on his team that was getting the plays, it was PolarBearMike that was the one popping off for him there on the team, Tolly.
It just seems that every support for every team is always going to be that loud focal point to kind of synergize them for the future of this best-of-5 set.
I think you're 100% right there, Tolly. In fact, we had a chance to talk a little bit with PolarBearMike, so let's go ahead and take a look at that one.
The most difficult period for myself personally in Season 4 was probably when I left ALG. I was like in a mentally, a super bad spot mentally at that point. I didn't know if I was going to play again. I was like fully ready to coach a team, and then Chaos just ended up messaging me, and they decided to take Scream back, who at the time was kicked, and then they reversed that, and then they brought Scream back and then kicked Pain. And then under that team, I think they had a lot of kind of like dirty laundry left over that I kind of had to like clean up. Like they had a lot of arguments between Scream and Panda and Scream and Chaos, or Chaos and Salt, or whoever, and I kind of had to be in there and like be the mediator and try to get everyone to like work together, have fun. I think I brought like a really fun atmosphere to the team because I would always joke around, but I kept it serious as well, and we tried to win, and I think over time that helped a lot, especially right now. A lot of our kind of stumbles around the summer split were against lower-ended teams. I mean, not to, trash talk people or whatever, but I think Noble at the time and ALG at the time, you could objectively say we were a better team, and we got 2-0'd by both of them. One of them was a 1v4 play by Wowie into some other wacky stuff, and I think there were some small things there that I was talking about with Chaos and Scream having arguments that like I really had to nail like a few points home, and I think Scream got a lot of confidence, and I think once he started playing with confidence and Pen and I were confident together, I think we really started to take off. I actually always played support because I just thought the characters were really cool. Like most of the Guardians I think are fun in the game. I try to be a playmaker most times. It kind of depends on the god. I always default to like how my teammates want to play because I think if I put them in a good spot, we have the best chance of winning. Normally I like to play engagers and just like playmaking gods where if I get the chance to like dictate the pace of the game, I can just kind of dominate it and just go on people and set up my carries really well. I think we're actually probably the most aggressive team in NA. Maybe LG is like up there as well, but I think we just play super aggressive. I think what makes us unique is that a lot of teams, you'll watch them move around the map and they'll only fight like 5v5s or 4v4s or only when they have number advantages. I think what's unique about us is that we're all confident. Like I'll take a 2v2 with Panda versus anyone all day. Salt and Scream will do the same. Ven and Scream will do the same. I'll do it with Ven. And we'll just always take like 2v2s, 3v3s, and we'll be confident in it. And I think because of that, teams have to play a lot more conscious or a lot more scared because at any time we'll go on them. I mean, winning Worlds is, literally why we all play the game, right? Kind of just be like validation of like all the hard work you put in, I think, and just like with this team specifically, the amount of work that we put in to improve over splits from not making the LAN in summer to being a first online seed, but then none of that really matters and we have to prove it at this LAN, and then, if we get to Worlds and we get to have a good shot, I think it would just feel really satisfying.
That's PolarBearMike support for eUnited. In a lot of the ways, kind of feels like maybe the dad in those comms, helping to keep some of those stronger personalities there in check. And that's what PolarBearMike does so well for them. You heard him saying himself. He comes in, helps get, Benji, Scream, some of these real Venenu, some of these real strong players focused in the right direction.
A very jovial character here, both in and out of the game. If you ever follow him on Twitter, you can see his late night thoughts every now and then when he goes on a rant. And that's something that's a nice, refreshing touch in the scene, not only inside his team, but for everybody else. Because whenever he's just in a LAN environment, everyone picks his brains about certain things and just likes to be around him.
It's hard not to love PBM, though, because he's got that friendly caricature, but on top of that, he really does know how to be serious when it comes to competition. He makes sure to stay on point with his team, keep it level-headed, keep everybody kind of just focused on the primary purpose, which is looking for the W's in the games. And I absolutely love what he brings to not only his team environment, but I think just the general LAN environment.
United now with this 1-2 record. They need to find a way to bounce back here in game number 4.
Oh, it's so important that they're going to be able to turn this one back around because they're not going to get another chance if they lose here. Game 4, though, between LG and eUnited, picks and bans are ready for you. And I agree, they're going to need that mentality from PolarBearMike here in these picks and bans because it's felt like a lot of these games have been dictated by these picks.
As absolutely. We've seen such a shift, like we were talking about, between Artio not being picked or banned game 1, prioritized in game 2, even banned away in game 3 already. We're seeing eUnited picking first after losing that last game, and that's been the theme as well for these two teams. Whoever loses wants that first pick.
I like the first pick choice out of eUnited again. I also like that they're committing to this same BaRRaCCuDDa ban. That is a ban that I just don't believe Luminosity should be permitted to play. Mask has shown way too much proficiency on that god. And additionally, I'm also expecting Luminosity to kind of stick to that same Morrigan ban as well, especially since eUnited already eliminated Cabrakan.
That's what's been the trouble with your second pick here so far. You kind of got to ban away that Morrigan because it's been just that good for him so far, and that's what LG do, banning it away. But that leaves Yi, who's been a priority pick this set, available for eUnited to take.
Between Europe or North America, it's so refreshing to see a different stylistic picks and bans. Yi, not your general first pick, first ban, but against these two teams, really respecting both of these hunters and what they're able to do with it, considering how fast the jungle clear is by himself.
But that's the fun part about LAN, at least from my perspective, is that you don't really get to see what people have been considering the meta picks throughout a season. You see what teams know is another team's strengths and weaknesses really being used against them. In this case, eUnited, they want the early pressure, at least from the hunter. They want that possibility of the flex option. And Luminosity, again, with a very smart response between the Fafnir and Serqet.
And LG decide, and like you said, to pull that Fafnir away from the Yi. Those Fafnir and Yi were together last game and had some success. So keep that Fafnir for them and take the Serqet pick. I mean, maybe LG don't want to lose any more Gold Furies here, totally.
Definitely not. That Cobra's Kiss, 1 in a million actually percent probably for Scream to find that, but he actually did. And I like the Fafnir takeaway like you were talking about because also eUnited has this mid-mage available. Knowing Venenu without Morrigan, Sol could be a viable option. I don't expect him necessarily to go to this Raijin because of how heavily focused he was time in and time out.
Probably as well, my favorite part about the Fafnir and Serqet is that Yi is a hunter without a CC immune ult, and his jump can be a little bit slow to start. Actually, one of the easier hunter jumps to catch out. And so with the Serqet and the Fafnir in particular, both of these gods are excellent at single target focus shutdown. And it's going to be pretty difficult if PandaCat isn't careful with his positioning on Yi.
Back over to eUnited now for their second and third picks here of the pick ban phase, and they've taken a little time here to think about it totally because they know that after these picks, LG pick and they get a chance to ban, and they want to make sure they get something high priority. But where do you expect them to go?
I would like to see them take this Artio simply because LG have the next pick before second ban phase, but instead they're covering their options, picking Nemesis. So no matter what soul laner gets picked, that could be easy ganks coming from Scream. And then on top of this, for PolarBearMike is the Athena for the defender of Olympus Global Pressure.
I'm a huge fan of the Athena pick. We haven't really gotten to see a chance out of it other than really Cherio, who prefers to take it into the jungle role. And that I still can't believe happened because Cherio should never get Athena on land. But referring to this game, I like the control that an Athena can provide, especially if Fafnir were to ult into that Draconic form, or if Serqet is trying to look to single target focus one member from eUnited. That taunt out of the Athena is going to be so crucial for preventing a lot of that follow-up.
It's also going to enable a lot of follow-up for eUnited simply because the Hou-Yi ricochets will start bouncing around walls off of the Athena taunt. And not only that, this is going to allow Venenu to play almost anything he wants to. It's so easy to follow up an ability off of that Athena taunt.
The picks and bans kind of picked up in pace there after the Athena Nemesis locked in. Hercules snapped up for LG, and then eUnited turned towards BaRRaCCuDDa with the Jingwei and Kurnos bans as well. Kurnos could even be for Baskin. We saw play it real well, but Jingwei, something that BaRRaCCuDDa's been really favoring here lately.
And I think the reason for that as well is just because there is a bit of a safety net anytime you're playing with the Jingwei, particularly against a Nemesis who wants to be able to have that chase down pursuit. You get so much movement speed out of using your ultimate on a member that you don't want to watch them just float away to safety like a Jingwei can.
You're speaking about mobility, and I wouldn't be surprised. I was about to say Giannis potentially for that mobility purpose, but Luminosity's Baskin taking the Raijin. The damage is there between the Serqet and Raijin. That could be an opportunity to try to blow up the Athena.
And they're going ahead and take the Raijin here, so save likely the Hunter pick for BaRRaCCuDDa till later. Back over now to eUnited, who already have that Athena Nemesis there on their team, so they've got a few more options available to them. Poseidon was banned away by LG, so that's something that they won't be able to take to the mid there for Venenu.
Really worried about the cripple preventing Aquarius on the Hercules from doing his wombo combo.
There is an Uller possibility, I believe, for BaRRaCCuDDa here. LG has been banning away the Uller, at least they did in the first 2 games. They banned that away from PandaCat, but recognizing that it was a Hou-Yi selection first and foremost, and that I'm anticipating to be for the mid lane because Hachiman is much better in the duo.
They have selected the double Hunter over here for eUnited, the Hou-Yi and the Hachiman, and then Cabrakan to go along with it. Are you liking how eUnited's comp is rounding out here?
Taking a page from Elevate's book here, honestly. Athena, Cabrakan, double Hunter. Now it's going to be a Assassin instead of that third Guardian, but still a good way to blow up some of the tanky frontline from Luminosity. And the teamfight presence should favor eUnited here. A lot of zone control, but look at what Luminosity did to wrap things up, picking the Anhur.
Anhur is an incredibly aggressive ADC, but I think my main concern is going to be that impale. When it comes to the lane clear, Anhur can kind of struggle a little bit because all you have to do is have your support maybe stand in front of that. So a lot of this, I think, is also going to depend pretty heavily on how it is exactly Luminosity start off with the 2-1-2 or the 1-1-2. It just all depends.
Well, there we go, rounding out those picks with that Anhur for LG. Taking a look at these comps, let's get those picks one more time. Taco, you've been on fire lately. Who you got?
I say eUnited bring it back in this one.
I've been wrong so far the whole entire time, but I'm going to have to split it down the middle and go for Luminosity. They have too much momentum here.
All right, we got the split here on the desk. Let's get over to the casters and see how they feel.
Thanks a lot, guys. And so Tully said that he hasn't been right too much, but I think this time around he might have something right. I think eUnited looked really strong.
I like the direction this draft is going, kind of taking a page out of the triple Guardian composition with a little bit of a flex. Instead of a Guardian in the jungle, it's the Nemesis to deal with the tanky frontliners that Luminosity has.
I love it.
But, I mean, BaRRa playing Anhur on land, you got to feel like that gives Luminosity at least a slight edge because of how well he's played that on land during his career. And it has the matchup against Hachiman, where Hachiman's going to get the better end of that clear, but you have the ability to jump over that shot from the mounted archery. BaRRa's team fight potential with this Anhur is really strong.
I mean, sure, but then it's Anhur, one of the gods we've not seen too much of. It's kind of been like a forced pick, if anything, because of all the bans away from eUnited against Hunters, and then them picking a secondary Hunter themselves.
But it's actually Venenu on the Hachiman in the mid lane instead, giving it to PandaCat in the duo lane for the Hou-Yi. I wonder which matchup BaRRaCCuDDa would have rather had there in that situation.
I like this combination here. I think we're so focused on look at what Elevate did, or this is sort of like Elevate, but just one pick off. Look, man, it's a Hunter mid. That's the difference here. I don't think it's really that deep, but what I do love is Scream on Nemesis. Just flat out this guy brings the pain when he plays Nemesis, whether it's into a composition or not.
And Aquarius needs to be cognizant of the fact that he's going to be the focus here. He has to be the focus for eUnited with that Nemesis ult and the lockdown from the Cabrakan.
Exactly. The Cabrakan in tow is the biggest key there between the two. Oh, Mask is in the big creep wave and he has to use that sprint.
Yeah, he's going to get out of there. Screammmmm still has a sprint and very low damage, or health, I should say. Benji able to help out just a little bit.
Yeah, he'll be fine, though, because obviously Bomber's Mask will top him up in the jungle once he gets into that. But locking him down low, we did see 2 sprints using the solo lane and the beads of Mask, so he's going to be a little bit careful now for at least a few moments.
Team's kind of forgetting about how strong Cabrakan is at level 1, man. You just cannot try and disrespect those tremors without having some sort of displacement in order to take him out of that channeled ability.
And it's not just a level 1, it's more about the lack of boots, right? Being so slow that tremors really starts to be almost hard CC. Nemesis able to steal that one away. That Scream, he's making it happen. Level 2 already.
And that makes it worse because they're still level 1 after that buff going down. Now they're getting the blue stone and they've got to just take the back harpies instead. This should be level 3 off that blue camp.
That's not a good start for Luminosity whatsoever. I mean, talk about losing pressure on that right-hand side. Now they're going to hit level 3 off 1 minion here in the solo lane, and Aquarius is going to be significantly behind, and that Cabrakan ultimate can make all the difference in a gank. Locking down Aquarius, not going to be able to dash away if he gets stopped by those walls.
And it really helps out to have that Cabrakan in a little bit of a lead earlier on against this Hercules, just so Hercules can't control the laning phase as much as he'd like to with one driving strike and then reposition the creeps and then have the fight away from where those tremors could be.
Right now, PandaCat going to return or make his appearance in the duo lane. Hunter starting out mid these days. So Panda going to group up with his support. Why is mid getting pinged here?
I don't know. Maybe to see where Baskin was going or where he was at that given time, trying to see if Oracle's could be the call for the dual lane or if maybe if that blue buff may be under pressure. But with Aquarius being backed, I doubt that was the case on the right-hand side. Just a matter of communication.
Was it the early ward maybe that just got placed in the mid lane was the reason for the ping? So let me know where the ward was around that
It was a
turn
ping on Baskin specifically. I think it was just saying, hey, Baskin's finally mid. We know where he's at. He's dipping into the left side jungle. But there's so many things that the team needs to communicate this early in the game because and I actually really like where we're at right now because we were in a world once upon a time where the game was on rails in the early game, but now so different. There's so many different starts, etc.
And look at the invasion down the right-hand side. You can see eUnited looking to pressure even back harpies here.
Yeah.
It's trying to shut down Mask from hitting level 5 as quick as possible.
And it's already worked so far. I mean, Scream's been level 5 for a little bit. Mask just now hitting level 4, basically. Aquarius in that same boat, but Baskin's going to take a spill that Invade continued.
Left side, Venenu picks up 1. PBM picks up 2. eUnited 2-0.
Closet Athena being OP? Is that what it is? Nobody's, like, we saw Cherio was the one that really did it.
I've been saying it.
Just because you've been saying it doesn't mean it's real, Tom.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
It is. It's true. I've been saying it. Athena's dope. She's so strong. Early game damage out of Athena actually relevant, even without itemization. The taunt will always be something to talk about. I don't care if we're playing Smite in 2030. Athena taunt is going to matter.
The taunt from Discordia is going to matter, too. It's the same sort of thing, right?
Just like
forces you to taunt.
Just like our lunch. Oh.
Because it makes you do VET.
Get me out.
Can I?
When she hits you.
Yo,
with the
Hendra, should we
ultimate.
just leave?
No, should we just kick him?
Actually,
That could work.
I want to be here.
To be fair, I'm actually kind of down to see Ryan do this on his own.
all right, ready, set, go.
Wait, me all by myself? Oh, okay. Speed buff invade happening here for eUnited. Scream still has that level advantage, but no ultimate. He used it earlier on, so Mask has his available, but Aquarius does not. He's coming all the way back from base. That speed buff going to go down and successfully in eUnited's favor.
That wasn't too bad.
Yeah, you're pretty good.
Keep going.
Keep on, go ahead.
Okay, now blue buff being started up by eUnited, and they've still got that pressure. Remember, ultimate's still available in Luminosity's favor, but still don't want to take that fight. Mask has given up that right side experience for the most part. Allow it, just telling Aquarius that that's the way it's going to be, at least for a little bit. You need to just kind of get your farm elsewhere and try and stay safe.
Have you ever seen him be this good before?
I mean, maybe once.
When he started?
Yeah, we were doing a console cast, actually.
Yeah.
He was casting his old teammate, Chapo, if you've ever heard. Aggro used to play with Chapo.
He did?
Yeah.
True, I did. Wasn't sure if you knew that, Hindu.
We didn't,
No,
hey,
never
we didn't
heard it
invite
before.
you in the conversation yet. He says that from time to time, actually.
Oh, well, at least he played with one person who was good and not himself, right? I guess.
I mean, Aggro, I've watched Aggro play by himself.
Don't know about the stories that happen
I
off air, Tom.
I
We're on
solo queue a
broadcast.
decent amount, yeah.
That's the main thing.
My schedule's just a little bit different than other people's sometimes, you know.
2-0 to eUnited, though, and that's all down to the early pressure they got off, which is pressuring onto Mask and shutting down an assassin early game. Very important. But worst case scenario is getting Scream ahead on this Nemesis early game. This is going to become problematic as this game goes on.
And Scream going for the farm boots, basically. It's the Talaria boots. No warrior tabi, no ninja tabi, anything like that. Looking to just go around, slice and dice some people, get that 30 gold, and try and continue this kind of snowball of farm in his favor. I mean, look at the XP per minute on the left side of your screen. Scream nearing 570, whereas Mask isn't even above 415.
Also, you know, small thing. Well, keep an eye on Serqet. And not going to be the case. Small thing here. So the advent of Bluestone has given Nemesis the ability to provide that early game pressure that people find so impactful. So she moved away from that death toll. Right now, there's going to be a death toll moving towards Aquarius. And Scream gets the last hit, dishes out some taunts. You know your boy is feeling himself. Bluestone death toll doesn't matter. He's crushing it.
And the taunts, it doesn't happen as much online, but it will in person. Just because you can look across the other side of the desks and go, he's tilting.
Scream still taunts a decent amount online.
Well, Mask could be in trouble on the right side now. He's going to get away, but I don't think he's going to get away very quickly with the chase potential still available.
No taunt. Taunt on cooldown, so PolarBearMike can't finish that. Real quick, just
Venenu!
with the ultimate. He's on a horse, then he's not.
That's a surprise horse attack. You just never see it coming until it's already got away.
Horse, no.
Yep.
Gets the kill, gone.
Imagine if one you did that.
He does.
He literally does.
No,
frequently
he
does
stays
that.
on the horse and goes
No.
swing, swing, swing.
No, you
frequently.
can hop on the horse and cancel it right away.
And
right
just look
click.
for the stun.
Why would you ever do that on one?
Because it's one of the best initiations
Yeah,
in the
because
game.
then you
But
get a
it's one of the
stun for
most
free. You can stun an
damaging
area
abilities in
around
the
you,
game
and
on itself.
yeah, but then you're not doing the stun part, which is the most important part.
Why are you still here?
Good question.
I actually don't know.
Good
I've got nowhere else
question.
to be.
Well, right now, eUnited's got a place to be. In the enemy's jungle. Picking up the old speed buff. Nice stun onto PBM. JeffHindla going to look for the charge. There's going to be the ultimate from Mask. PolarBearMike dashing towards his teammate. Venenu and Scream are here, and Mask in big trouble. Scream doesn't want to let it go. Dash 1 turns around. Looks for dash 2 onto Venenu. Venenu still in trouble, but not dead just yet.
We might be now, but that damage comes up from Raijin. No, just enough to stay alive. Meanwhile, on the back, you'll see Mask force back to base, but a good taunt from PBM will allow Benji to pick up one. Mike will go down in trade, but now BaRRa has turned up.
Solo laner takes care of support. Solo laner takes care of support. Now it looks like mid lane gonna take care of the solo. One more shot will do it. And it's BaRRaCCuDDa putting Benji in the ocean.
And the pings come out to try and invade the red buff. Someone's telling PandaCat, do something, because BaRRaCCuDDa's over here getting 1 kill and an assist. But Panda went to his own red. Red wasn't even available for Luminosity, and a great rotation from BaRRaCCuDDa off a very extended engagement there on the right side.
Not enough stacks for the solo Gold Fury attempt. If this whole engagement happens 1 minute later, I think we might see it.
And this is where it comes down to the difference in builds between the hunters. Throughout this whole set, it's been BaRRaCCuDDa rushing Devo gloves and PandaCat going boots, and there's been no payoff for PandaCat doing that. He's fallen behind in the stacks and power department because of that. So this game, he says, all right, I'm going to do that this time. I'll rush the Devourer's Gauntlets. And BaRRa builds boots and rotates where PandaCat cannot because of the boots difference there for BaRRa. That's how you take advantage of the type of build path you want to go for. Really, really heads-up play by BaRRa.
It's also because he's playing Anhur too, and Anhur is the king of the jungle for a reason. Those pillars, the impales into the walls, because they're able to do that so often, you want to get to these team fights in the mid-early game stages and try and make an impact.
Well, isn't he the king of the jungle because he's a lion? And that's like what they are?
How dare you call hometown hero John Salter a liar?
No, a lion.
He is one of the most
no, like the
honest
animal.
people
No, like on
I've
her.
ever
The
met.
No, Tom. Just 1 second. If you just listen to what I'm saying,
He's
it's
so
actually
truthful.
The character that he's playing on her, the god, the Egyptian god of war, is a lion, and that's where that king of the jungle thing
Pillar
happens.
and pound us off the mark. Here comes that taunt, and PandaCat, he's in trouble. That's a bigger cat. BaRRaCCuDDa finds the knockup, finds the basic, and he's as honest as possible with that kill.
Mask on the way around the corner, and I don't think PolarBearMike knows what's up until it's too late. They won't even need the ultimate Mask there to pick up the kill. 2 in exchange for 0. And honestly, a lot of that was down to seeing PandaCat beat and continue the engage.
Love that play from BaRRa. I mean, it's not often anymore that BaRRa and Jeff get to have a good old, honest to goodness 2v2 in the duo lane. But even without that, they still have it. I mean, those guys are played together for so long, and that's just BaRRa making the better decision there, and the accuracy to immediately go for the Desert's Fury. I love the immediate reaction from JeffHindla to transform as well, and PandaCat thought they would have enough damage to blow up Jeff before he died himself, but ends up just baiting PBM into a bad spot as well.
Tell you one thing I'm looking forward to at hi-rez Expo, though, is the potential of seeing Jeff and BaRRa versus Jermaine and Dardes. That could be really big.
I said it the other day. I said Jermaine and Dardes is the Jeff and BaRRa for the counterculture. It's like they're sort of like the dark ends, the new guys, right? They're a little bit edgier. Aquarius.
Not going to get out of that one little bit. As soon as the walls drop down from Benji, you know it's good night, sweet prince.
Okay, that was actually sick from Benji because he starts channeling that ultimate and then twists it to follow Aquarius' driving strike to make sure it cut him off.
Gold Fury aggressed on, taunt on eUnited United with the retreat. Luminosity just going to pick this up and steal it. The pillar's going to block it up. Luminosity get the Gold Fury. eUnited going to kick themselves for that one.
Definitely a small mistake there, although the good news for eUnited, at least they're going to get a tier 2 on the right-hand side. Is about
tier 2?
Well, that's good.
It's 11 minutes in.
That's why it's good.
It's 11 minutes in. Nice stuff. I started talking about didn't get to finish it. The Death's Toll shows you that Scream's going to be a little bit more aggressive than the Bluestone. The Bluestone is like wave 1 pressure with my slice and dice. The Death's Toll is I'm just going to basic attack and heal up.
Well, this is good and bad for eUnited. Now, it's good because of plays like this where they get to go to Portal Demon and there's no way LG can try and contest because they don't have any towers to run to on the right-hand side of the map. The problem, though, is Aquarius should just sit right around where he is and not really push that wave up very far. Allow the wave to come all the way down, force Benji to go all the way towards their base, and then you can try and pick him off with help from Mask there. It'll be hard for eUnited to try and close that gap and get there in time.
And speaking about Dardes and Jermaine a little bit earlier about the 2v2, well, that's kind of something that Elevate did once upon a time against Ataraxia. They took a tower early on, but then Ataraxia just froze the wave. So now you can see Aquarius maybe just freeze the wave there, deny Benji some experience. It does allow him to rotate a little bit more, but he still wants those levels. He's only level 13.
He's already 2.5 above.
Sure, but that'll turn into 2.5 behind if the wave keeps getting froze over and over again. If Aquarius does
I can see an even. I don't see Aquarius taking 2 levels above Benji just because the tower's gone.
No, but it's all about Benji staying ahead of everyone else on Luminosity. He's already going to be ahead of Aquarius. That's already set in stone, basically. But the rest of the team, you want to stay ahead of where BaRRa is. You want to stay ahead of where Baskin is, just so you could be tanky and your damage can stay relevant.
Everybody is losing their lane matchup except Baskin.
I mean, that's just because he's farming. This is what we see out of most of the mid laners these days. He's focused on farm rather than the gank potential. A lot of rotations going around all the time, but Baskin will make sure he's getting as much farm as possible. Even though he had that little tumble earlier on, he's still just focused on farm. Very Zeros-esque sort of play here.
And then going for the early Spear of the May is something that we usually only see on gods like Poseidon that are a little bit more ult-oriented and tick-oriented. I like this idea from Baskin, really trying to punch through that tankiness that Benji will have because of his lead.
I think it's also down to Raijin as well, because we've seen a little bit more out of that as the taunt does hit onto Baskin here, but love the lack of panic coming out from Baskin as he knew he had Mask with him, and eUnited not really interested in following up. Mike just going to get a bit of a beating, not much as he expected. It was good work.
Well, PolarBearMike just right there, I mean, that's the defensive driving force. He dodged almost everything, gets hit by the Raiju because it's gigantic, and then gets hit by one stop of the Percussive Storm, dodges out everything else, dodges all the basic attacks, dodges the Earth with from Aquarius right there. Just really nice moves coming out from PBM.
And all of that was in the name of making sure that eUnited has enough room to get that speed buff again away from Mask. Mask hasn't had one yet so far this game. He's gone for a Heartseeker, just trying to get some cheap damage that he desperately needs in the early game. Now, it doesn't feel as good because Heartseeker usually feels great in that third item slot after some penetration where you're doing significant damage with that Heartseeker passive, but getting it second here is just Mask trying to get any extra little bit to try and find the burst that he needs.
It's almost like the Hunter equivalent of old Igval. When you're behind, you're trying to at least be able to try and even things up a little bit. That's kind of where I feel about this Heartseeker here in this build.
Well, old Ichabod did everything that Hunter could want from ahead or behind.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, Tom. I didn't mean to.
Come on, you got to know better than that.
You got to learn.
You don't say words like old Ichabod or executioner
or mage farm
or Mid lane is easy.
I mean, but it is.
Mid is the hardest role!
I don't know. I mean, Zero's just farms all day. All they seem to do mid laners do is farm. Like, Baskin's doing it. We've seen so many do it just this week.
His team's getting stopped, and Baskin's having
And
no problem.
They've got insane escapes all the time.
Yeah, look at that.
Hunters don't always get insane escapes, do they?
No big deal.
I'm not engaging in this conversation.
Right now, LG's engaging right on top of Baskin. Scream's going to run away. BaRRaCCuDDa gets the kill on PolarBearMike off camera. And that's going to be a big deal because it's 4v5. But at the same time, I think that Scream represents enough of a threat that it doesn't really open the door for Luminosity as much as they thought.
You know, this Anhur makes me just go back in time to previous versions of BaRRaCCuDDa and Anhur. He has always had it in his god pull. He just doesn't pull it out that often. But whenever he does, it always seems to be around the land time. And then everyone remembers, oh yeah, he's pretty damn good at this. Those pillars, so impactful.
Anhur's team fight is one of my favorites to play with on your team, to watch a competitive player use, because it's so impactful. That shifting sands is one of the most underrated abilities in Smite. It controls so much area. It's such a potent slow, and it does so much damage.
Right now, PandaCat gonna look for that Anhur. Beans gets rid of the stun. There's help from the third player as Scream shows up. The jump is good, but a better jump coming out from eUnited. Scream with the last hit. 3-0-3 for the young jungler.
Would have liked to maybe see a little bit of a difference in the relic usage out of Barry. He could have leapt away earlier. He stayed in, going, I can Aegis the Athena ultimate and still look to fight. Problem was, he didn't recognize Nemesis was around the corner.
Big damage from PolarBearMike starting things off. Scream gonna finish things one more time, taking down his direct opposition. Mask says goodbye while Scream says hello.
Benji showing up just to make sure that Baskin can't finish off that kill while the rest of eUnited head back to this Gold Fury. Two Hunters, we saw last game, they can do these quick.
And not with the banner as well from a Hachiman. That just helps them both out too. But Jeff's here, and Jeff caused problems last time, if you remember, where they got the Gold Fury LG, because Jeff turned up and went, hey, this time, eUnited, don't make the same mistake of dropping it and letting somebody leash, but now they're going to turn on Jeff.
I like that control coming out there. JeffHindla, however, he's not going to control much of anything.
Okay
This
now.
will give him a jump.
He'll be out. Should be safe, although is it going to be a bit of a tricky back to base? Oh, he didn't expect Venenu to come that way. Jeff's dead.
Yeah, nowhere to go. No chance to survive. Make your time. Venenu making himself a look good. 3-0-2 for the mid lane. And Benji surrounded by three, still going aggressive, trying to find Baskin. However, here comes Scream, helping out the solo laner. Aquarius finds a kill with the ultimate, but Scream on top, locked in by his teammates' own walls, can't catch up to Baskin.
Yeah, Aquarius can't do that on his own there, but I love Baskin just buying as much time as he can for his teammates to keep Benji in position. Even when Scream came in, you saw him hang around on low health going, still have my escape, so as soon as he turns on me, we could continue.
I mean, that's a level 17, a kill onto a level 17 Cabrakan for a kill onto a level 12 Serqet. That obviously favors Luminosity, especially when you factor in the Mask actually got his speed buff for the first time this game, though it wasn't long for this one.
At the same time, I just want the Scream train to keep going. Just keep going.
I think we're going to see 5 games, like I predicted on the way in, but this has been eUnited win a game, LG answer back. LG win a game, eUnited answer back. Does that mean eUnited win the next game? Because on paper, that's how it's gone so far.
I think there's. I think when you get to game 5, again, you know, my donning my professor hat, my science.
But you've not got your jumper. You've not got your sweater on. When your sweater's on, that's when you can be a professor.
Yeah, that's Professor F. You're not wearing the right uniform today, Professor.
I mean, is it Fire Giant? Is it Professor Giant?
Good
it's a
read,
Fire
Professor.
Giant.
That's a good an A+ for that call.
He's so hip.
Pressure in mid, though, for eUnited now with the Fire Giant. Although, tier 2 on the left-hand side goes down for LG. We killed Tom, that's the main thing. But now the Fire Giant push with 2 Hunters. This isn't going to take long, Aggro.
No, it really isn't. I don't mind the idea from Luminosity to get the towers on the left-hand side, give up Fire Giant, and now kind of regroup and trying to defend the Phoenixes. Wonder if Luminosity is going to want to try and defend that tier 2 on the left, because giving up the tier 2 in mid is more because they don't have anyone in position to try and defend that. Only being down, 6K at this point, 5K, you're not down so much that it's impossible to try and defend against a tier 2, even against a Fire Giant.
And the other thing is they have finished off a couple of items, LG. Now, Titan's been online for Mask a little bit more, almost that Spirit Robe finish for Aquarius too. They can defend this tier 2, but they're going to need Mask there, who's currently just in mid, steps in a ward so they know whereabouts he is.
Yeah, I need LG to have the double flank here. I need Hercules and Serqet to be both on the right side so they can come in, because if they're not, that's what's going to happen. Right down the middle, Aquarius Aquarius gets taken out. Beautiful taunt from PolarBearMike.
Oh,
And the
Master's dead.
follow-up from the Hunters. Benji,
That's game.
PandaCat, doubling for the guy. And it's going to be the push up the left-hand side. Hindu, what'd you say?
That's game. I don't think there's any way for them to stop this advance now because, you know, it's only 20 minutes in, but we said
Reach!
it's
The reach!
double Hunter.
The reach! PolarBearMike doing his best combination of Cheerio.
And now with that, the Phoenix will go down on the left-hand side too. Now it's pressure onto the Titan. This could be game. I got called it. I think I'm right.
Man, I'll tell you what, 2 Hunters seem pretty good right about now. Luminosity might try and do something with it again in the next one because, I mean, gods like Hu-Yi have got to be prioritized with how well they've been playing.
Yeah, fantastic. Just fantastic stuff. eUnited, that's what we expect. You know, it was for, Ryan and I had the conversation before the set, and I said, so who's carrying for eUnited? He went, Benji. And I went, Scream. Well, we're both right.
I actually think it was the 2 Hunters, but you know, that's what won the game because they
You can have one too, Hindu.
I don't want one. I'm
I was gonna, look, he doesn't have a Twitter account anymore. I'm trying to make him feel better.
It's okay.
Too soon, executives.
I didn't want one
Too
anyway.
soon. Either way, this one's going the distance. 5 games we've been blessed with. eUnited versus Luminosity. And this one really just coming down to the wire for good reason. These are the 2 best offerings from North America. And, you know, part of me was worried that we'd just get a 3-0 stomp. And I'll put it on the table. I thought eUnited was just going to be able to do it. But Luminosity coming out really strong.
Well, it's double Hunter wins. I wonder if we're going to get double Hunter versus double Hunter in the next game.
How you feeling?
Maybe, you know what? The real big brain play here is to draft 3 Hunters. Double Hunter has been really good.
We have analysts standing by to actually
3.
break it down.
I'm the fucking best Baskin, don't fuck with it!
And what more could you ask for there, ladies and gentlemen at home? LG going up to eUnited, and PolarBearMike is quite excited. We got it all evened up. Game 5 here. Totally, what was the difference between this game where eUnited just looked strong?
I mean, clearly, PolarBearMike is the best.
Sure.
And for Baskin not to ever mess with him. But realistically here, it was yet again the solo jungle side. The Nemesis, the Cabrakan against the Serqet Hercules, Aquarius, and Mass just got absolutely shut down early game.
I absolutely love the draft from eUnited. As soon as that Nemesis started rolling, there was just no stopping Scream. Even in that duo lane where there was glimmers of hope for Luminosity, BaRRa and Jeff actually managing to set up a nice little 2v like trade out in that duo lane, but it did not matter in the long term. Scream was just all over the place.
Hiding like a ninja around this corner, waiting for his target, and just the walls coming from Benji's Cabrakan didn't give Aquarius any breathing room. All over the place.
Yeah, that play in particular there from Benji was kind of a highlight play, man. Turning back around, catching him in those walls. But Scream in particular for eUnited just was crazy this game on that Nemesis. And it kind of felt like this was the flip of last game where LG made a couple flashy plays, but it didn't really seem like eUnited cared at all. They just kept pushing the issue here, Taco.
There was just so much setup potential for eUnited between this Athena Nemesis composition. I mean, you've got the double slows if Athena runs that dash straight into you. But the taunts in general, anytime you're trying to escape from that Nemesis ultimate and then you just got an Athena barreling down the lane at you, it makes it practically impossible.
PolarBearMike hit some insane taunts there in the later stages of the game. Actually helped out PandaCat find a kill onto BaRRaCCuDDa at the lane as well, which I think enabled eUnited to get the goal fury after the fact. And he was just all over the place, wanting to find some right team fights for his team.
And go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah,
every
talk
single
about
time. That was like a primary example of just how well this combination worked out. The second that Scream would target out a member and drop that Nemesis ultimate on top of them, it was immediately PolarBearMike looking for the follow-up engagement.
They relied so much on Scream and felt like to really be the one that said, hey, this is our target here. This is the one that we're going to blow up. And he did such a good job of it. But I want to talk to you all about some of these picks here for LG. Like BaRRaCCuDDa ends up here on the Anhur, Mask on the Serqet. It feels like these picks didn't quite get everything they wanted out of them. Talk to me about these two, Toli.
Well, it definitely felt like BaRRaCCuDDa was comfortable on the Anhur. Despite not playing it today thus far, he looked lights out on it. His mechanics cannot be questioned, but Mask just couldn't get the ball rolling. He was consistently consistently 2 to 3 levels behind Scream. He couldn't make the same impact there. Couldn't really gank the Cabrakan efficiently. He had no control over his buff camps either. And this was just a point that eUnited was able to exploit over and over again, is just invade the blue and the speed.
That's just what tends to happen, because a lot of what Luminosity were trying to look for after they recognized what eUnited was sealing to deal with, it's really difficult anytime you're running the Raijin into what you're hoping isn't going to be a hunter mid, because Raijin prospers whenever he isn't able to get out pressured. You're used to him being able to full clear the wave so early on, right around level 2, I believe, is when he actually has full clear potential. So when you're facing off against that Hachiman clear plus the poke made things incredibly difficult for him.
And it was also Aquarius who had a rough time over here in this game. But like you said, just there was so much solo jungle pressure this game. I mean, I think there was a 12-minute tier 2 tower that was taken over there in solo or something like that. I mean, talk to me about some of that solo pressure that we saw, totally.
Because of how much solo pressure there was from eUnited, it was LG responding in kind to the Gold Fury side. And that's why they got that tier 2 tower as quickly as they did. I love the fact Venenu playing the Hachiman in mid lane, just really throwing a curveball at Luminosity. Couldn't really make those adaptations. And Baskin playing the Raijin, and for good reason too, because of this Athena pick. The whole idea from Luminosity's comp was to get Serqet on mask, get Raijin for Baskin, and try to blow up PBM every time he would go for a dash taunt.
I have to agree with that entirely. Most players would not anticipate the Hachiman to be that mid lane selection choice for eUnited. I myself personally believed it to be a Hu-Yi, just because of how much Hu-Yi can actually prosper in that mid lane. But very similar to Luminosity, they actually opted to give their main hunters that Hu-Yi pick and then just leave open the secondary hunter for the actual mid lane clear.
And we saw it there with that last graphic, too. The speed buff, in particular, being well controlled by eUnited. I mean, that's what happens when one team has the solo jungle control or the pressure over on that side of the map and the other team doesn't. I mean, even walking through, we kind of heard in the audience, once that first speed buff went down, it's like, oh, eUnited won. They just really value that that solo jungle side in North America in particular.
They just can't get away from it, honestly. That's the whole goal of Smite competitive scene, is just making sure that your jungler is enabled in the early stages of the game. Hunters are the ones and mages in the later portion, and as long as your jungler can control the buff camps, you're not only enabling your own jungler, but anyone around him too, so specifically the soul laners.
And we spoke about the double hunter compositions in particular, finding a lot of success here. I mean, Elevate, of course, they're going to be trademarked with that one, but now that these other teams have started adopting this similar strategy, but to their own flavors. I mean, it wasn't 3 Guardians, it was the Nemesis being the other addition for eUnited this time. But Nemesis accomplishes the same thing, similar to what Elevate was looking for in the Nox, where it gives you that single target burst potential because you're focusing out one member entirely. And when you have that sort of follow-up from the Athena, from the Cabrakan, it's so incredibly difficult to maneuver around that as a mage and a single hunter. So I don't necessarily want to see any hunters in particular banned away. I don't know if Luminosity might feel as though Hu-Yi is more of a threat, but I feel as though it's more an issue with the setup surrounding eUnited as opposed to the actual direct hunters themselves.